851. Modifications to printed circuit board acquisition restrictions. Sector 852. Modification of pilot program for development of technology-enhanced capabilities with partnership intermediaries. Sector 853. Additional testing of commercial e-commerce portal models. Sector 854. Requirement for industry days and requests for information to be open to allied defense contractors. Sector 855. Employment transparency regarding individuals who perform work in the People's Republic of China. Sector 856. Briefing on compliance with contractor lobbying restrictions. Sector 857. Congressional oversight of personnel and contracts of private security contractors. Subtitle G Small Business Matters. Sector 861. Exemption of certain contracts from the periodic inflation adjustments to the acquisition-related dollar threshold. Sector 862. Modification to the pilot program for streamlining awards for innovative technology projects. Sector 863. Protests and appeals relating to eligibility of business concerns. Sector 864. Authority for the Office of Hearings and Appeals to decide appeals relating to qualified HUB zone small business concerns. Sector 865. Report on unfunded priorities of the Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer Program. Sector 866. Report on cybersecurity maturity model certification effects on small business. Sector 867. Data on Phase 3 Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer Program Awards. Subtitle H Other Matters. Sector 871. Mission Management Pilot Program. Sector 872. Establishment of mission-oriented pilot programs to close significant capabilities gaps. Sector 873. Independent study on acquisition practices and policies. Sector 874. Pilot program to incentivize contracting with employee-owned businesses. Sector 875. Guidance, training, and report on place of performance contract requirements. Sector 876. Notification of certain intergovernmental support agreements. Sector 877. Report on requests for equitable adjustment in Department of the Navy. Sector 878. Military standards for armor materials in vehicle specifications. Title 9 Department of Defense Organization and Management. Sector 901. Change in eligibility requirements for appointment to certain Department of Defense leadership positions. Sector 902. Clarification of treatment of Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation as a Department of Defense field activity. Sector 903. Enhanced role of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering on the Joint Requirements Oversight Council. Sector 904. Implementation of repeal of Chief Management Officer of the Department of Defense. Sector 905. Space Force Organizational Matters and Modification of Certain Space-Related Acquisition Authorities. Sector 906. Assignments for participants in the John S. McCain Strategic Defense Fellows Program. Sector 907. Designation of senior official for implementation of electromagnetic spectrum superiority strategy. Sector 908. Management innovation activities. Sector 909. Digital talent recruiting officer. Sector 910. Cross-functional team for emerging threat relating to anomalous health incidents. Sector 911. Alignment of Close Combat Lethality Task Force. Sector 912. Independent review of and report on the Unified Command Plan. Sector 913. Study and report on the role and organization of space assets in the reserve components. Title X General Provisions Subtitle A Financial Matters Sector 1001. General Transfer Authority. Sector 1002. Revision of limitation on funding for combatant commands through Combatant Commander Initiative Fund. Sector 1003. Plan for consolidation of information technology systems used in Department of Defense planning, programming, budgeting, and execution process. Sector 1004. Commission on Planning, Programming, Budgeting, and Execution Reform. Subtitle B Counterdrug Activities Sector 1007. Extension of authority to support a unified counter-drug and counter-terrorism campaign in Colombia. Sector 1008. Authority for Joint Task Forces to provide support to law enforcement agencies conducting counter-terrorism activities. Subtitle C Naval Vessels and Shipyards Sector 1011. Modification to Annual Naval Vessel Construction Plan. Sector 1012. Improving oversight of Navy contracts for shipbuilding, conversion, and repair. Sector 1013. Codification of requirement for assessments prior to start of construction on first ship of a shipbuilding program. Sector 1014. Limitation on decommissioning or inactivating a battle force ship before the end of expected service life. Sector 1015. Biennial Report on Shipbuilder Training and the Defense Industrial Base. Sector 1016. Annual Report on Ship Maintenance. Sector 1017. Navy Battle Force Ship Assessment and Requirement Reporting. Sector 1018. Prohibition on use of funds for retirement of Mark VI patrol boats. Sector 1019. Availability of funds for retirement or inactivation of guided missile cruisers. Sector 1020. Review of sustainment key performance parameters for shipbuilding programs. Sector 1021. Assessment of security of global maritime choke points. Sector 1022. Report on acquisition, delivery, and use of mobility assets that enable implementation of expeditionary advanced base operations. Subtitle D Counterterrorism Sector 1031. Inclusion in counterterrorism briefings of information on use of military force in collective self-defense. Sector 1032. Extension of prohibition on use of funds for transfer or release of individuals detained at United States Naval Station, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, to certain countries. Sector 1033. Extension of prohibition on use of funds for transfer or release of individuals detained at United States Naval Station, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, to the United States. Sector 1034. Extension of prohibition on use of funds to construct or modify facilities in the United States to house detainees transferred from United States Naval Station, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Sector 1035. Extension of prohibition on use of funds to close or relinquish control of United States Naval Station, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Sector 1036. Report on medical care provided to detainees at United States Naval Station, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Subtitle E Miscellaneous Authorities and Limitations Sector 1041. Congressional Oversight of Alternative Compensatory Control Measures. Sector 1042. Modification of notification requirements for sensitive military operations. Sector 1043. Authority to provide space and services to military welfare societies. Sector 1044. Congressional notification of significant Army force structure changes. Sector 1045. Prohibition on use of Navy, Marine Corps, and Space Force as posse comitatus. Sector 1046. Comparative testing reports for certain aircraft. Sector 1047. Special Operations Forces Joint Operating Concept for Competition and Conflict. Sector 1048. Limitation on availability of certain funding for operation and maintenance. Sector 1049. Limitation on use of certain funds pending submission of report, strategy, and posture review relating to information environment. Sector 1050. Briefing by Controller General and limitation on use of funds pending compliance with requirement for independent studies regarding potential cost savings. Sector 1051. Survey on relations between members of the armed forces and military communities. Sector 1052. Limitation on use of funds pending compliance with certain